Alright, welcome to Kerbal Space Program 1.8.0. We're going to be 1.8.1 really quick. What I've done here is we're at this stage in our career where we have to go. Our next mission is to maintain orbit, to go to the moon and go into an orbit and then do an EVA or spacewalk and then come back. So I built this Kerbal craft here. And this has room for 3 Kerbals, and I don't even know if it's going to fly. So what I propose we do is put a scientist, and I don't think we need an engineer at this point because we're not going to be repacking our parachutes, which that's not a bad idea for me to just go right back here after I said the word parachute. And let's put one on right here. And then depending on that, I'm not going to do that. Alright, so hopefully that's enough parachutes. We shall see. Now that's not a good position to have after you come back from a long mission what's taken an hour, and then you just kill your Kerbal in the end. It's upsetting. But anyway, we have to be conditioned for failure because in the engineering space world, failure is imminent and often. You know, you hear that guy screaming, "Failure's not an option, not on my watch." Okay, good, but that's all for the cameras. You know, we have to actually program ourselves and condition ourselves for failure. So let's go ahead and turn on some pilot stability. Before we forget, we're going to put our throttle where we think it's going to end up anyway. After we charge, we're going to look at this real quick. Our staging. Got both my parachutes programmed, so I can just, there you go. Let's go. Alright, so the first thing I expect to happen is it just burns clean and goes straight up in the air. You can see that now that we've done some upgrades, we've got more telemetry information than we've had on the last video. On the last video we were kind of, you know, going by our instincts and our knowledge, whereas this we actually have real data to assist us. Now you can see we're getting into dangerous g-forces and we're running out of gravity, but we have reached 1,000 meters per second almost. We're really being affected by the air. Getting ready to run out. We have to be ready to stage now. Alright. The explosion was below us. At 44,000 I like to tip if I'm in higher atmosphere, and then I take that to 45 without rolling over, and then I kind of wait for 50. So trying to make little corrections. I'm at 50, so at 50 I usually go to 20. Alright. And now what I'm doing is I'm flying at 34,000 feet through air and atmosphere with this rocket like a maniac. And I'm trying to hold it at 20 until I get to 60. Okay, and then when I hit 60, and I'm talking about my apoapsis peak, 60. I'm there, 62. And the thing is we're going for 70 now. But if we get too close to 0, we won't make it. So we're also 53 seconds from our apoaptic peak. I'm too busy to show you that right now because my goal is to reach 70,000 meters doing 22,000 meters per second and hit my apoaptic peak at the precise moment, which would be 0 seconds. Okay, I'm at 68.5 now, so I think I have time just to break away and show you what I'm talking about. So you can see this parabola or this arc, and we have this AP, that's called the apoapsis, and we're 31 seconds to it, and we're at 69,000 feet. So basically what I'm trying to do, and I'm just going to get some control here, is hit 70,000 feet at 0 doing 2250. That's a checkpoint. 2290 is my actual goal. So if we just sit here for a minute, oh, I'm about out of gas, so I got to go back. I just hit 70,000. Now I'm going for 22. So you can see me here counting down 23, 22, 21. I'm at 70 here, so I'm good. And I'm counting back to 0 from 18, and I'm trying to hit 22. So let's go back here and see what's happening. See, my arch is getting bigger, or my arc is getting bigger, or my parabola is growing. Alright, I'm going to turn my gas down. It's causing problems because my gas is too high, my throttle. So if you just looked, I cut my throttle way back. Now I'm at 2250. Stop. That's a checkpoint. I'm 30 seconds. So what I'm going to do is wait for this to count down a little bit and do some evaluation in this next 30-second phase. So I'm at 34,000. I need to be 70 and 70 for my concentric orbit. So as we approach it, we're 12 seconds to 9. I'm just going to give it some gas. And you can see I'm almost there. I'm going to wait till it gets closer to 0 and give it a bump. You can't see, but I'm here on my throttle going shh, shh. And that's going to happen in 4 seconds. Shh. You might be able to hear it through the microphone. And then once I've passed it, just go to it, right like that. And then it's so close to give yourself a little. Alright, so this is pretty concentric. I'm within 0.2 kilometers of each other. That would be 200 meters if you can do the math. That would be of my apoapsis, or my apogee, or my periapsis, or my perigee. And now you can see we're in space, so we're going to leave the map. Alright, let's go ahead and turn our lights off. I hit the U button to do that. If you remembered, we have a mission to send science back from space. So let's go ahead and do a crew report. We'll go ahead and transmit that. And that should fulfill that mission right there. It does. It's green. So we just made a free mission, free money. It wasn't free. We accepted it, and we had to get to space to preform it, but we did. Alright, so you can see my Kerbal. I have 3. Let's go ahead and look at them. This is the capsule, and then this would be our living quarters with a Valentina. And is that Bill or Bob? I'm confused always. That would be Bob. Bob, the builder, is but a scientist. So they should have made Bob the engineer, but they didn't. So they probably didn't know who Bob the Builder was. All right. So going back to our... All right. Now, just real quickly, if you see these blue lines and this purple line, this is our satellite mission that we accepted to put satellites in these orbits. But we're going to set the Mun as our target, and then we're going to come back here and we're going to look at our ascending node and our descending node. Now, these are out of whack by a full 2 degrees. So we need to correct that before we take off to the Mun. So I'm going to just come up here. I'm just going to speed up time. And you'll see the sunrise. Did I turn my echo off? Oh, thank goodness. I could have watched the whole video. All right, timestamp 10:56 and we're in orbit. So what I wanted to show you was a correction on the ascending node that we're 2 degrees off. So how we do that is, if you can see this, this is the ascending node mode. And I'll show you which way we're pointed on the map. We're basically traveling that way and we're pointed straight south. So let's see what happens as we approach it. Now I'm giving it gas and I'm pointing south, so I'm pushing the throttle and I'm traveling with it as it moves. Now it wants to move, so I back off on the throttle a whole bunch. And then I kind of wait till I get closer. Now I'm just giving it just a teensy bit of gas. I turned it to 0, so I need to turn it off very quickly. Sometimes I like to have that pointing like this, so it's opposite of the Mun. So if I draw a Mun perpendicular, and it's still 0, you know, like bisect the planet, draw a line to the Mun, and then draw one at a 90-degree angle to that. I've done this before, and magical things can happen. It's just really weird how it all goes together and how science and the universe fits. Now, you can see it changed the periapsis when I did that, and the apoapsis. But so what we need to do now is find the Mun, line that up on our orbit, make an estimate about right here, add a maneuver. We haven't been able to do this before, and now we're going to use the computer to project our path to the Mun. And as you can see, the two objects are coming together, and we made it. Now checking my periapsis, that's awful far. So if we're going to make orbit, then we need to pull that in quite a bit, like to 50,000. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I'm holding on the, I'm basically setting up my burn 70. And then I can adjust it if I want. Oh! Now you can do things in mid-flight if you're on a collision course. So we'll just go with that. So then we can warp to the next maneuver. Remember how we have to be able, in the name of expedience, to accelerate time. Because this all takes so much long, you know, a trip to the Mun and back. And for us to do this inside of an hour, we're going to have to be able to accelerate time. Now, if you're doing this in the privacy of your own home, and that's the beauty of these indie games, is sometimes they're just meant to be enjoyed. Like, it's not supposed to be real stressful and hyper Adderall, mind muscle memory strategy, and it's not going to be a slow grind like a grand strategy. And some of these games that just want you to invest time, and It's just kind of redundant. But there's no redundancy here. Everything has meaning, and you can constantly progress forward and never look back. And if you do it with efficiency. Now, paying attention to my burn, I got a burn time of 59 seconds and a burn node in 51 seconds. So I want to burn when I hit 0 as much before as after. So if it's, let's just call it a 60-second burn time for easy math. So I want to start my burn at 30 seconds and then stop my burn at plus 30 seconds. That's a 60-second burn. I don't even know if I have enough fuel for that. I don't think I do, but let's go ahead and fire. Okay, so here we go. We're burning hard. Now, I can already understand I'm going to have a problem because I can see it. And what I can see is that if I do get there and into orbit, I may not be able to get home. So I'm somewhat concerned about my fuel at this point. And it's the same concern I had when I was building this ship, is that I might not have enough fuel to make it. So what we're going to do is send possibly a radio controlled rescue ship. But let's just see what happens. And as you can see, we're down to our burn, milliseconds. And you just kind of put that up where it matches. And then when it does, sometimes you'll get a check, sometimes you just got to look. And let's see what it is in reality. Okay. So in reality, we're on a collision course. Let's just turn that around. Now we have a periapsis. 22. We'll go with that. I definitely don't have enough gas. If I was smart, I would just get a gas tank and a ship and send it right behind them. But I'm not smart, so let's just accelerate. When we did our flyby of the moon, we collected almost all the science at the halfway point that we could. I know we didn't have a mystery goo. So let's just go ahead and stop that right there. We'll do a mystery goo reading. See? 15. We don't need to do anything with it yet. We have a scientist, so we can actually collect that and reset the data. That's the beauty of having a scientist. So I should be able just to push my acceleration real hard. I've seen it fly by, so don't do it. But there's things where it will slow itself down, so you don't just accelerate past. You can be going too fast. So here's where we are now. When we hit this periapsis, we need to orbitally, or surfaceally go into retrograde, and we're not going to have enough gas, but we're going to try to create an orbit around the moon, and a non-concentric orbit would be good. Anyway, let's just try this as we approach. I'm actually going to warp here. It's only letting me go +3. If you want to go look, we can. Wow. So here we are. We're hovering over the ominous satellite body of our planet. So primarily I want to get right up on that periapsis, maybe 5 seconds too. If I wanted to add a maneuver, I could. So I know. Like right there is probably a minimum. There we're like super cool cats. So we're going to go back here. And see, we have a burn time in 1 second. And I can't run myself out of gas. But I can just watch this. Alright, so I have absolutely stranded us here. We have to have a rescue mission, a ship with plenty of fuel that'll come get these guys. But for now, let's look at our map mode. And we're going to keep 3 for maneuverability. Alright, now I want to show you something. Let's go ahead and turn this off, and this will show us reality, not projected reality. 29 and 18. We're out of gas, but we're here. So we consider this a conundrum, but not a failure. Which means what's going to happen is I'm going to take another ship that has plenty of gas, that's empty, that looks like this one, fly it up here, and we're all going to board. We may even have a mission that says put 2 ships in near proximity to each other. Usually I fulfill that when I rescue. But we've just necessitated a need for our own rescue. And I've got some bad news. We've got both our pilots up here. So our rescue mission is we're going to have an engineer do it, which is going to be a whole nother thing because he won't have the same system controls. But we'll try to figure out a way to give him some stability. Anyway, at 22 minutes, we've achieved orbit up to the moon. I'm going to speed it up a little bit so we can get into some light. So now we have Kerbal rise. I don't know if you can see, but if you should look down at the moon and see the textures on the moon. This comes from ksp2. The people at ksp2 or who are making our next evolution of Kerbal have given us with the 1.8.0 Kerbal more boosters and the addition and upgrade to Unity 1.9.2, which is, I guess, the second upgrade in 2019. I'm guessing 1.9.2 is telling me it's the second update in 2019. Guessing. Don't hold me to that. They could have their own system, but that's kind of what my mind's telling me right now. But just look, there we have moon texture. Now we can't actually go down yet, but that's in our future. That's probably a couple episodes away. I wish there was a way to get this ship back. Anyway, I probably won't bore you with the rescue mission. I'll just, it'll just happen, and then I'll come back later, and we'll review and evaluate what we learned. But I'm just going to sit here for a minute, and we're going to look at moon texture. I need to go take a little break. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Anyway, what I'd like to do, I think we're going to wrap up the video at this point. While we're gone, I'm going to have to do a rescue mission, bring them back. I didn't need to show you the return from the Mun. Wow, they're starting to get the Kerbal 2 graphics. Oh man, I'm almost getting excited. I haven't seen them yet. Anytime we do a 1 point, like the 8 update, what I do is I throw everything I've ever done before away and start over. So I guess this would be the only way I could see these new Kerbal 2 graphics is in 1.8. But this is a first for me, and I've got about 5,000 hours into Kerbal, so these firsts come fewer and far between. Kind of gets my exploratory juices flowing. My heart starts to beat. Anyway, I really think I'm just going to end the video here at the 25-minute mark. This is we achieved Orbit of the Mun. Oh, let's not end it exactly. Let's go ahead and fulfill our mission, which I'm going to have to shut myself off my face so I can see the Kerbals and push their buttons. Anyway, let's take the pilot on an EVA. And he's got about, might as well do an EVA report. And so this is specific, like the Mun, to the Mun's Midlands. So we can do this again and again when we reach a new point. And the interesting thing about this is if we're in radio range, these EVA reports can be sent back immediately. So let's extend our antennas. I'm obviously in the blackout phase of the Mun. Does this have a hatch? Oh my goodness, I just lost a Kerbal. Emergency. Alright, emergency. We used a hatch when we had none, so it was basically, I ejected out the back. Oh my goodness. This is terrible. Okay, so what I'm attempting to do here is grab onto this little bar. Anyway, so now I actually have to change craft, which my craft now is the Kerbal standing on the bar. Oh, while he's here, he might as well collect the data. Remove the data and restore the experiment and store the experiment in the capsule. And then I'm going to actually change to the capsule, to the spacecraft, which now I'm the craft and I have a Kerbal hanging on my outside, but I need to do something called transfer crew, which I'm going to put Jebediah back here. And it looks like our scientist is going to be in the capsule now. So we'll change back to the scientist and push B and board the capsule. Boy, that was exciting. We collected the science. We achieved our EVA. I'd like to try, just while I'm here, enable another EVA. So this would be from the Mun's Highlands. So we'll keep that and we'll board.